Quattararo ahead of this one. He's the bookies' favourite. We're about to start the Portuguese Grand Prix, the final race of the season. Immediately goes over to try and defend turn one. Miller, is he going to take second? No, not quite. It is Miguel Oliveira who leads.
Row starting fifth. Quattararo's mid-pack now.
Yeah, and Maverick Vinales is just behind him as well, struggling.
There's Johan Jack Miller's attacking Franco Morbidelli down the hill into turn 5. He made it stick. No, he's run a little bit wide. Morbidelli comes straight back on through.
Great rhythm. Cal Crutchlow at the moment is in fourth, ahead of Stefan Bridle, but he's being passed by Paul Espargaro. A good start then for Paul. He's up to fifth from not.
Needs to be aggressive though, hard to overtake around this Portimao circuit if he's got aspirations of winning his first Grand Prix for KTM on his last appearance.
Meets on this opening lap.
So Oliveira through the first 3 sectors of this opening lap already over 6/10 of a second clear. We're looking back from Franco.
Mir's just gone up to 12th now, ahead of Dovi as we come around turn 15 then, the final turn here in Portugal. And Miguel Oliveira, it's so perfect start for him.
Yeah, plan A has been executed to perfection. 6/10 of a second clear then of Franco Morbidelli in second. 4 places from 10th to 6th. The big mover was me. Oh, Pecco Bagnaia.
What's happened here? It looks like he's hurt his arm here.
He hit him or something.
That is most bizarre, isn't it? Joan Mir's just lost a load of places as well. He's just dropped back down to 20th. What's happened to the world?
Got the clutch off the line. He lost a whole bunch of places, but he's regrouped and he's now in 7th.
So there's Quattararo ahead of Vinales. There he is. He's gone second to last.
Was he involved with Pecco Bagnaia maybe? Who
Possibly.
knows?
He was down in 18th. He's only just moved up to 17th. Who was that wide? That was Tito Rabat, so Mir's made up one play.
Not showing any signs of pressure on home soil at the moment, is he, Miguel Oliveira? His advantage now is over a second.
If we can pick the bones out of this one, there is Mir. Is he about to hit? Yes, he is. He hits Johan Zarco and all.
There. Just trying to get a little bit too eager up the inside of Zarco. Zarco up the inside now of Maverick Vinales. Was that real?
That puts Stefan Bridle into the top 5 now. Excellent work from the Repsol Honda man.
He was the top qualifier on a factory by outstanding ride by him so far this weekend. Let's not forget, his confidence would have taken a massive jolt after a real fast crash at turn 9 this morning.
Brilliant rhythm as well. He was fast this morning, but he crashes at turn 1.
Oliveira's early speed is sensational. On that last lap, he was the fastest man on the of Franco Morbidelli. Astonishing early speed by Oliveira.
No one can touch him. On board here with Miller, looking up to Morbidelli in terms of tyre life and who's gone for the right option.
It's that rare occasion, isn't it, where we're sort of on the third lap of a race, and it's as you were from the top 4 right now. Plus Espargaro, how much of a costly mistake was that by him coming through turn 2, that he would have lost a couple of places.
Across the line, sets the fastest lap of the race so far.
And Stefan Bridle lost his ride to Cal Crutchlow at LCR Honda in 2015.
No. Blimey, having watched just a moment ago Moto 3 and Moto 2 races, how cramped does this circuit look?
The battle of the Frenchmen going on right now between Zarco and Quattararo. They drop down into turn 5. They're all grouping up, and Quattararo was a couple of tenths slower than him on that last lap. Zarco's a second behind Paul Espargaro, directly up the road ahead of him.
As they go over the crest at turn 8 and into turn 9. 2 Yamaha teammates these will be next year with him, and that's a brilliant move from Alex Rins. Fantastically done.
Yeah, up through turn 12, or down through turn 12. Turn 13, so bad couple of corners for the Spaniard.
The best Aprilia out there at the moment is Aleix Espargaro. He's not moved from his grid spot.
Steam so far so good for Miguel Oliveira. It's been a masterclass from Miguel at the moment. His advantage now, he's the first man into the 39. Last lap again, he was a 6/10 of a second quicker than the Italian behind him. Dovi's now got through on Maverick Vinales. Vinales, as he's
now got onto the tail of Stefan Bridle in his pursuit of another podium to finish the year off with, but no one at the moment can even get
to go running wide at turn 2 for Stefan Bridle. Oliveira then, the only man in the 39s, nobody else.
So the door was open, he slides on through. Paul Espargaro back up into 5th place then, looking for his 6th. Crutchlow up ahead of him.
The last time Bridle had a top 6 was Sepang 2014, a long time ago, and he's second to claw back, although he's making pretty decent progress. You can see Zarco himself was actually gapped, put a bit of daylight between himself and Fabio Quattararo.
Landed pole position yesterday, his first ever pole, looking for win number 2, and across the line here, a 40.2.
That puts in Portugal, hasn't he? Miguel Oliveira, he's just going to be cementing that. Cristiano Ronaldo might be the 2-legged star in Portugal. Miguel Oliveira, though.
Quattararo then 8, Rins in 9th.
Yeah, Fabio Quattararo, not a race he was expecting, thought he had the...
Into turn 5 we go. Rins really close to the tail here of Fabio. Just in the background there is Taka Nakagami as he clean. to pull it off.
And at the moment, what this means is that the Triple Crown is going to elude Suzuki, because days of Casey Stoner back in 2007.
Something just to remind people about, as Rins is told to go to Mapwise. Really badly in Valencia, it happened in both races. The pace dropped off a cliff around about halfway, but it's something worth noting that both Morbidelli and Miller had far better tyre life at the end of those races.
Yeah, and he's built up clear. Franco Morbidelli and Jack Miller behind this man, Oliveira, have just had to set their personal best laps of the race to even close 139s. That's outstanding pace.
Yeah, he's a class above the rest right now, that's for sure. Now, there's a couple of changes further back. Aleix Espargaro has now passed Maverick Vinales, so it's going from bad to worse for the number 12.
The start of his 16th at the moment, and he's got a long gap to bridge to Valentino Rossi in 15th spot right now.
Yeah, no top 6 since Catalunya, and ending the season out of the top 3 overall, isn't it?
Calcoccio then has finally lost 4th to Espargaro. Now, how much of the time has he got to recover to Jack Miller ahead of him? Quite a lot, 2.5 seconds through sector 3. That was
because just behind them, with some good pace, is Johan Zarco, the Sponsorama Ducati rider. Meanwhile, out front is he goes. It's a 40.1. He extends his lead to 3.2 seconds.
It doesn't matter what Morbidelli at the moment, 3.2 seconds is his advantage right now. Fabio Quartararo desperately trying to hang on to what at the moment.
Jarvis, isn't it? The Yamaha 2020 machine showing again here quite a bit of weakness.
Well, they've had double podiums so far this year. You've got to go a long way back to find Mir and Petrucci. Not the farewell to Ducati that...
This is a replay of the start incident between Bagnaia and Mir. Now, maybe that was it. Let's have a look and see what happens then.
Or may well have happened.
That's not looking very good.
Well, that was 2 incidents, wasn't it, that Mir was involved in, that tight turn 3 into the poor old Pecco Bagnaia. That's his 4th DNF in the last 5.
Sideways on exit there, Miguel Oliveira. That's the first sector for the Portuguese man. Jack Miller here in 3rd place on course for his 4th podium of the year, and back-to-back podiums to end.
2.6 seconds. Espargaro at the moment, he's not running anywhere near the pace he needs to reel in Miller. In fact, last lap he was a couple of
behind Rins, and Nakagami hot all over him, trying to find a way through. Aleix Espargaro just a few places, aren't they? Behind Pol Espargaro, who's in 4th place. It's a huge gap up to Jack Miller as well.
2020 for the likes of Andrea Dovizioso, 12th place for him at the moment. Valentino Rossi in 15th place. Maverick looked like he was going to be fighting for the win here on Friday. So good in FP1 and FP2, and right now he's struggling to keep...
Here is Quartararo looking back to Taka Nakagami and Alex Marquez in the back. 0.7 clear of Morbidelli, and it's Miller and a 3.1 second back to Pol.
5 now. He was concerned about the tyre wear after lap 15. Well, at the moment he's riding that KTM on rails. He's Nakagami. How close do you want to get to the action? He can almost reach out and touch Fabio Quartararo, and at turn 3 the type getting worse for another 2020 factory Yamaha.
He's trying to retaliate though into turn 5, desperately trying to hold since winning 2 races at the start of the season. So, the Honda and the Yamaha, and Nakagami finally manages to make the move stick.
Yeah, a few races ago, we might have thought this was going to be a battle for the podium. Poor Pecco Bagnaia.
Yeah, he told his team, they just told me that with the impact of Mir, it felt...
Poor old Pecco, shoulder injuries are a nuisance for any MotoGP rider. We wish him all the best into the winter, but it's been a pretty horrid
shoulder surgery after that horrible accident he had in Q2 in Jerez way back in mid-July. He aggravated that in a turn 8.
Up at Quartararo, but Dobby's gone too deep in, or it's getting a bit tight through turn 1. Joining them is Aleix Espargaro, who's got brilliant rhythm.
They're nowhere, absolutely nowhere. Marquez and Aleix Espargaro, if Quartararo continues this plummet, they're going to be able to pick him off. That last lap was slightly slower than Franco Morbidelli. I say slightly slower, it wasn't even a 10th, and that's why he's still got a very comfortable margin.
Out front, that you're looking at the battle for second now, overhead. At the moment as things stand, of course, Miller in 3rd would give to Cap.
Yeah, it'll keep the bosses happy. Jack was desperate to hand the victory to Pramac Ducati, of course. Still, we've never close to it last weekend in the closest finish we've had all season. It was a nail-biter and a thriller with Miller and Morbidelli last weekend. He's already halfway down the start-finish rate, while Morbidelli and Mir are coming to the final corner.
Imagine the noise we would have had from fans in second, Miller in 3rd.
It's stabilised between that top 3. They all did 140.1s on that last lap. The slightly quicker man, the now former Moto2 world champion Alex Marquez. Juan Mir, turn 3. It's been forced him out of the race with what we think is a dislocated shoulder, which did pop back in, but sounds horrendously painful and uncomfortable. A point to start his World
what's
Championship
happened there?
defence.
Polespargaro almost lost
again.
the front. Wide again, another mistake, another error. Gain slipping away. Crutchlow goes through a bit. Now he's wide. So deep was Crutchlow. So he's gifted it back to him as well. He's found some decent rhythm in the last couple of laps.
Really exciting battle this, isn't it? Raging for 4th place. He's up through on those 3 men ahead of him. And what's happening is while they're engaging, this is bringing Rins and Nakagami back into the hunt as well.
Don't know how severe that drop will be.
Well, 10 laps to go. That was when everybody was expecting there to be the drop. Fabio Quartararo talked about it yesterday, especially. The drop-off's been a little bit more severe than perhaps what they might have anticipated. Quartararo, though, 12th. Vinales 4th
place. He's 4.1 off Oliveira, but at the moment he's trying to find a way of getting through on Franco Morbidelli. You're looking here, though, at this huge... Polespargaro on the KTM heads that battle from Cal Crutchlow in his final race as a full-time rider. Then it's Bradl. Forget, Bradl crashed at the fast turn 9 this morning in warm-up.
It's all looking quite academic in terms of runner-up in the championship. Franco Morbidelli of Stefan Bradl's factory Honda was ripped off in that crash at turn 9 this morning, so to jump back on, that's the way he ended Gravel Trap at turn 9. This has been a brilliant job by Stefan Bradl. Alberto Puig spoken in glowing terms about the job he's done this year. Stefan scoring finishes, Stefan Bradl. This is his best performance in the drive by a long time, well, 6 years actually.
We've got to the halfway quicker than Miguel Oliveira. The gap remains at 3.6 as Rins and Nakagami and Dovi all get that wrong.
I don't know whether they all got sucked in. I don't know whether Rins was reacting to Bradl ahead of him, and then Nakagami, of course. It was a chain reaction, knock-on effect. That's going to cost Rins a bit of time. It's just a few fatigue, stamina issues maybe.
Sector 2 has been brilliant for Miguel Oliveira, and this is his race pace so far. Problem at all, he's actually just extended his lead on this lap again, back to Franco Morbidelli.
Grand Prix as well, Hervé Poncharal. They were almost 20 years at Yamaha, weren't they, Tech 3, and did not win a song in his French-based Tech 3 team. This man has been a league apart, a class of his own. It's been excellent.
And robbed Jack Miller and Polespargaro, but there's going to be no doubting who deserves this one. His lead now.
Story all season long. He's not had anything like spectacular speed, but what he's always had is that consistency. Dovizioso, he hasn't got the speed, Dobby, but he's got the consistency, and that's why he's just starting to ghost his way towards that battle for 4th.
For the Italian, it's an embarrassing day for the 2020 Yamahas. Really embarrassing right now. That's
another humbling and humiliating day, isn't it, for the factory Yamaha team? Particularly when they can see Franco Morbidelli again on the Spec B.
From Dovi back to Rossi, able to get going at all. He's lapping in the 141s, the world champion. He is 4 seconds
of MotoGP world champion, has it. Oliveira is still doing low 140s.
It's all over. It's over for Mir. He's
wondered whether there's perhaps some damage. Yeah, he's looking down.
Yeah, there must be something wrong, hey. Let's have a look to cycle. So Joan Mir, the world champion, his first race as a world champion is a retirement.
Well, he'd be relieved. It was all signed in
Day preview at the moment. It's not going to be the Triple Crown for Suzuki. Their hopes still rest with Alex Rins.
Rins has dropped into the mid-141s now. Normally, you think in these kind of scenarios, the Suzuki, with its ability to map...
Well, they were celebrating last week. It's a bit doom and gloom in the Caradelli, not by a huge amount, but there's still 10 laps to go. Miller here, can he find a way past Franco Morbidelli?
And to Miller. Jack Miller's just the second man in this Grand Prix to find a 139. 139.956.
This is Aleix Espargaro's gone up in the top 10.
Not sure what's happening to Alex Rins, because now he's doing 42s. I don't know whether he's got grip problems or...
Close between Maverick Vinales and Fabio Quartararo. Valentino Rossi's closed up on these two. Can they salvage something just to give them
the World Championship, I guess?
Absolutely. Rins again struggling here to keep the bike on the circuit, because Quartararo and Maverick Vinales are coming on strong again all of a sudden. Vinales in particular, he just put in his fastest lap of the...
So Alex Rins then now, an onslaught coming from factory Yamahas. That was close between Vinales.
When he keeps threatening to, and eventually he does make a move on Fabio Quartararo, but Fabio's going to have another look back. He's almost have contact there.
See how far away these guys are from the race leader. Miguel Oliveira, 40.2, 4.2 seconds advantage. There's been no tyre drop-off at all for Miguel Oliveira.
Close to Franco Morbidelli. and this could just be a matter of time.
Wants to exact a little bit of revenge for last weekend, doesn't he, I suppose? Yeah, good ride, strong way to move into Pramac Ducati next year. Be exciting to see what Zarco can do on the Jeep.
Like a podium is coming the way of the Australian, but what colour is it, silver or bronze?
Did this last year, didn't he, as well, Jack Miller? Much higher up the championship with Jack Miller. When you think about the problems that he's had this year, the Mazzano, the cruel look of the mechanical in Le Mans when he was so strong in the rain conditions, and then wiped out by Brad Binder in Teruel.
There's been a lot of points to Franco Morbidelli, so he's got a bit of hard work to do again now, because it's back to 4 tenths, 5 tenths across the line.
To try and find a way through on Franco Morbidelli. He must be sick of the sights of the back of Franco Morbidelli right now, Jack Miller. Told him to keep an eye on him, he's got great tyre life. Quartararo now loses yet another place. What an absolutely shocking end to the season.
Valentino Rossi on that last lap, a low 41. Fabio Quartararo. Here is a man who's definitely not struggling. Miguel Oliveira, class of his own.
The victory, what a way to round out a historic season, a milestone year for the Tech 3 KTM team.
Well, it would be 8 podiums accurate.
Yeah, I mean, for many people, they've been the surprise sensations of this 2020 World Championship. Yes, no, but it's a couple of years to see a KTM in the top 6. Now, it's a massive shock if they're outside of the top 6. That's not going to happen today. They're all who can't break away from Jack Miller, who's hanging on in there, as you knew he would do.
Yeah, 4th is still Pol Espargaro, 5th and 11th, Vinales and Rossi now, as we see Dovi going through on, is that Alex Marquez? No, it's Stefan Nakagami. Rossi's gone through now on Alex Rins, so Rins' day is getting even worse.
Dovizioso's speed has been, he's just able to maintain that pace, and that's why he's able to pick these guys off relatively easily. He's doing nothing spectacular. It's been another kind of
top 5 to finish his MotoGP career with. Just up ahead of him is Johan Zarco, but the man that's got the speed in this for Joan Mir, which has put him out of the Grand Prix.
Well, it was electronic gremlins that forced him down into 20th place on the grid.
Jack Miller desperately trying to find some mistake coming from Franco Morbidelli, but for the Italian who we're on board with now, 5 laps remain. He's got 4 tenths to cover on Jack Miller.
More place on the podium on his departure for the Pramac Ducati team. Here comes Dovizioso
now. There's not a lot of room there for Cal. He's going to go straight on.
Well, Zarco Nakagami's coming through as well.
Oh, blimey, and so is Stefan Bradl. They're all looking round at each other as they make their way around turn 3.
Robert,
get this, since the Grand Prix of Styria.
Incredible. Just managing the tyres better than anybody else around him, and fight for the win. This is a fight for the podium places with Miguel Oliveira long gone.
On board here with Franco Morbidelli. Beautiful throttle from Miguel Oliveira. Is there going to be a change for 2nd place?
It's not. You look at Miguel, don't you? He's been awesome. He's not put a foot wrong. He made the perfect start from pole position, and once he was able to open up that gap quicker than Jack Miller, who was himself a 10th quicker than Franco Morbidelli ahead of him. This looks like it's going to
going wide at turn 1. Cal Crutchlow's now dropped back to 10th. Alicia Spargaro's made up another place. It's back-to-back top 10s for Alicia at the moment.
The amount of time that
Aslan Razali and Johan Stiggerfeld looking on at their man, who
would have thought, Steve, after those first 2 Grand Prix, that Fabio Quartararo would not be the top man in unbelievable.
Well, not Yamaha, obviously.
No, indeed. And he's not going to try to pressure Morbidelli into a mistake, but he's just unflappable, isn't he, Franco Morbidelli? Well, to Franco Morbidelli, because he's been able to keep that gap back to Jack Miller. Just a bit of extra corner speed there on the Yamaha.
Braking downhill into turn 1. Jack Miller still 4 tenths off Franco Morbidelli, who's holding. There's Nakagami in 5th, ahead of Dovi, Bradl.
Frustrating day then for Joan Mir, not the way he's on the grid, and another technical glitch today. No throttle response, that's dropped him out of this race. 14th to Fabio Quartararo.
Yeah, the pair of them though, they've lost sight of Rossi. I mean, he's going to go to this man, even if he falls behind Jack Miller, he'll still get there. 3
boys, it was Zarco, Petrucci and the 2 Suzukis that went for the asymmetric rear, and it looks like it hasn't.
Yeah, well, shame really, isn't it? It's not worked out at all for the Suzukis. Lorenzo Savadori, I'm afraid, has crashed out of this race.
What a 4-fun race it's been for Fabio Quartararo. 4 races ago, he was leading the MotoGP World Championship.
Depending on what happens, they've got work to do, Yamaha, and Valentino Rossi seem to be in the same trouble.
Yeah, and all the riders saying, well, we need a couple of things, power and rear grip.
Yeah, that's late on in this race is impressive. He's closed the gap down to Pol Espargaro in fourth. There's only a second between them now.
And it does not matter, the ice-cold Italian ahead of him.
No, well, it's time to find out what down. The two Monster Energy Yamahas are coming on strong at the end of this race. They're up now approaching Cal Crutchlow, and through goes.
Early stages was really looking strong to finish his LCR Honda career, finish his full-time racing career in the top five. That hasn't worked right to this man, Valentino Rossi. They're not moving over with him to Petronas Yamaha SRT next year.
Miguel Oliveira race as well. Johan Zarco's going to lose another place.
Alex Marquez, flat, fastest man on the circuit yet again. He did say he can keep tyre life with that RSGP. He's got a very sweet hand.
Miguel Oliveira.
Well, what can you say?
There is Hervé Poncharal and his daughter Mathilde.
I can't see him throwing it away now. Miguel in Portimao, hasn't it? Nothing else you can say.
That big banner says, "Welcome home, Miguel. The whole of Portugal are behind you." Franco Morbidelli on the final lap.
Valencia 2, take 2 here.
He's got to have a look. You know he's going to have a look. Here it comes. No, in the next corner.
I think Miller's got it. Jack Miller then. A late show coming from Jack Miller. He tried this for the victory last weekend in Valencia. Look.
The checkered flag comes out here in Portugal. Miguel Oliveira wins at home for Terakhir, with Morbidelli in third, who will claim second in the World Championship. There's two KTMs in the top four, with Pol Espargaro in fourth.
Grazie Danilo, grazie Dovi. The messages on the pit board to the factory Ducati men. What a day. There is pace. Made the start from pole position, got the gap, built the gap, and then never looked back. He takes it by 3. Pressure of racing in home soil.
Unbelievable. Number one, Miguel, that was class.
Not one he's going to be looking back on very fondly at all.
Ducati are the constructor champions, thanks to this man, Jack Miller.
Congratulations since that unforgettable dominant year from Casey Stoner on the Ducati GP7. What a missile that was. And the
strings then. Dovi and Pol Espargaro will be level on points. Pol Espargaro almost fourth.
Love that pit board there. Thanks, Cal.
TM, Pol Espargaro couldn't quite make it onto the podium, but he finishes top 5 in the World Championship. Let's hear from Pit Byron. I'm sure he's delighted.
Pit, how does another KTM win feel?
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just amazing. I mean, it's so leave it. It's steps happened this year, and but I would say
great scenes everywhere you look.
Well, we said Cal Crutchlow wasn't going to go quietly, and he does a spectacular, amazing burnout. Miguel Oliveira, well, that graphic pretty much sums it up, doesn't he? He's our final winner of 2020.
He wasn't able to retaliate, so big congrats to him as well. And yeah, now it's time to rest.
Congratulations, Franco Morbidelli. When he does reflect on this 2020 season in the coming weeks and months, he'll be able to look back with an enormous rider in the championship as well. Would it have been a different story, of course, without the mechanical problem, the valve issues in
Guidotti and everyone at the Pramac team from the last 3 years, you know. I hadn't had a dry podium or anything like that before I got there.
42 kilometres now, well over 212 miles an hour, fighting to keep that.
And with such a strong performance like today.
Huge congratulations,
Thank
Miguel.
you, thank you.
Yeah, big smell into the off-season, knowing that you finished the season strongly. You're going to be on the same bike next year, different team, of course. What will they... Superb. Grazie, Andrea. That's a beautiful shot as well. 2 emotional scenes there. The tech team, yes, the relationship might have turned a little bit sour over the last few weeks, but Andrea Dovizioso came so close, didn't he?
On the Algarve International Circuit. Miguel Oliveira, the winner from Miller and Morbidelli. It's fourth for Pol Espargaro ahead of Nakagami. Don't get to top 10 to finish off this season with the Sponsorama. Ducati ahead of Vinales and Rossi. Crutchlow in his last race as a full-time rider is 13th. He's 16th. Mika Kallio replaced Ika Lecuona in 17th. Tito Rabat's last race, unfortunately, saw him finishing championship. Then we already knew who the champion was. Franco Morbidelli secures second. Alex Rins stays in third. Quite a few moves further down the order. No real changes. 10th place for Taka Nakagami. Brad Binder is the Rookie of the Year.